What is good, you guys? This is Steven with All Talk On, and we have something expensive. Alright, so today we're going to be taking a look at Gigabyte's G1 Gaming 980 Ti. Extremely expensive, extremely hard to find, extremely heavy, and big graphics card. Now the first thing I'm going to go over with this thing is its size, I guess, and or weight. Now this thing is heavy. Full aluminum shroud, full aluminum backplate. It's heavy. It's about 12.5 inches long, I think I measured it at, 12 inches long. And I will say this though, there has been bigger before it. The Tri-X cooling by Sapphire still remains one of the biggest graphics cards I've ever seen. It's still actually about the same weight as this, maybe a little bit heavier, and it's also about half an inch to an inch longer than this card as well. So for this card though, we do have 5 copper heat pipes, giant copper heat pipes might I add, and we have 2 sets of aluminum fins and shrouds, as well as a copper plate going along the VRM and everything like that, which is an extremely nice inclusion. At least I believe, yeah, that's where the CPU is, that's the VRM. And so for the shroud, instead of Gigabyte's normal all black, we have some silver accents and silver on top of the silver accents, as well as their famous Gigabyte WindForce fans. So little things they've included in this card, we have a light up LED on the front, or on the front that you'll see, and it's can change between 7 colors. Now you do need Overclock Guru to do that, and we'll get into that in a little bit, but we have 7 colors that range from anything from blue, white, green, yellow, red, to accommodate any type of color build you want to be doing, as well as we can see here for the power, we need 2 8-pin PCI power cords. So it's going to take 2 8-pins of those, as well as we have our silent and stop LED indicators, which glow white. And I don't know if you can turn these off to make it not, well, I mean, I guess one way you could is just to always have your fans on. They basically turn off and on depending on your fans, if they're on or off at all. So I want to say one thing, I guess I'll say we'll start off with, is the Overclock Guru and the color of this. So you need Overclock Guru to change the color. Overclock Guru, believe it or not, is not that bad. As far as overclocking went, it was actually fairly easy to use. Now for the color of this thing, sadly, the white, only the white, everything else looks good. The white is bluish, which is sad because I bought this because white. You know what I mean? Really? Light blue? That just kind of ruined everything, like my plans to make this white and be excited. So I was really down, and I know I'm not the only one that has this issue. I've already looked it up. It's just, for some reason, Gigabyte, whoever did the color designs is colorblind, because they couldn't figure out that was, like, in the worst part is this right here and this right here, those are white. These 2 LEDs right here are white. But this can't change white. I don't know why. Now, other things that suck about Overclock Guru is there is no start with Windows, at least nowhere that I could find. So you have to drop the exe file into your startup folder, which would be easy peasy lemon squeezy if Gigabyte didn't need permission to start this. Windows wants permission in order to start Gigabyte's Overclocking Guru software. So I had to turn off ask any permission. That way I could have it do it, which is kind of crappy that had to work like that. But in order to get it to start with Windows, that's what I had to do. And that was literally just for this LED. Now, the other thing I will have to say is their fan curves. Their fan profiles, making a custom fan profile is crap. It is also complete crap. It's like a staircase. It jumps 10% every time. So say you're on the verge of 50 degrees. Right when you hit 50 degrees, your fan speed jumps up 10%. And then it'll push itself back under 50 degrees, and it'll drop down 10% and then go back up, and it'll just keep doing it back and forth and get really, really noisy, and then quiet and then noisy again. So it's a huge hassle to even use it. So I do use MSI Afterburner for the fan profile, and I use Overclock Guru to run the logo. So as for display outputs, we have 2 DVI-Ds, 3 display ports, and 1 HDMI. So I did like this because it has the DVI-Ds, and I do use those. I use both of them. I'm not a fan of the HDMI, and my monitor doesn't have display ports, so I have to use those technically. So I mean, that was one of the pluses and one of the sad parts about the Radeon card, and one of the reasons why I didn't get it, besides the fact that this outperforms it, but this is also $150 more. This card runs extremely pricey and is really hard to find at times. Newegg has it for about $700, and that $700 price oh my god, like I couldn't believe it. And then other places that have it up to $850. Now this is almost always sold out at Newegg, almost always. Every now and then I can find it in stock, but within a few hours it immediately sells out, which is why I had so much trouble getting one. There were several times where it was in my cart and I would go to buy it and it was sold out, so I had to like finally got it in my cart and paid for before it sold out. And that's probably one of the reasons why this card is so pricey right now. But is it worth it? Kind of. I kind of get a little sick when I look at it and realize how much I paid for it. But at the same time, it is a very good piece of hardware. And can't say it necessarily earns its $700 price tag, but it definitely outperforms anything else you're really going to get your hands on for that price. So overall, this graphics card is just a beast. It's a heavy, long, it stays pretty cool. We can talk about the fans, I guess. Okay, so some of the reviews I'd seen, they said the fans were silent and all that good stuff. Now these are quiet. In fact, they'll shut off. My fan profile keeps them off until 50 degrees and then doesn't let the fans get any higher than 60%. 60% it's pretty audible. But I will say this, the auto fan profile on this gets this thing loud. Like it's a noisy graphics card. Even in a case, you can hear it. Under load, we're looking at temperatures close to about 76, 78 on the auto fan profile. And for overclocking wise, I was able to push this thing up to a whopping 1500 megahertz with an 8005 megahertz boost on the memory, which is pretty good. I didn't even touch the voltage. I literally just put all the sliders up, and that was it. No voltage increasements, nothing. Left those standard. Easily hit 1500, which is nice. But it does run definitely a few degrees hotter when you do that. So I keep mine at my stock speeds, and I even ran all the benchmarks at stock speeds. But at the stock speeds, this thing was boosting itself like easily. Literally just randomly decided it wanted to boost itself up to 1350. And then if you click on their Overclock Guru's overclock profile, mine would bump to 1397. So overall, the thing overclocks itself just fine. But I wanted to run the benchmarks at stock speed so that we know how this thing performs out of the box and just straight plugged into a computer and start gaming with it. Also, all the benchmarks are done with 1440p because this is a little overkill for 1080p. And if you're spending $700 on a graphics card, you should probably think about spending $300 on a better monitor because, yeah, this can handle more than 1080p very easily. Now, I did have a little bit of gripes. This is the first Nvidia card I've ever owned. The first Nvidia card to even step foot in this house. We have all AMD cards in here, and it's not because we're AMD fanboys, but it's just the R9 270 and 280s are the best bang for buck that there is out there, with those cards running for well under $300 and even under $200 most of the time. It is an extremely great card. Even at 1440p, the R9 280 has no problem running it. I was playing GTA. I was playing GTA 5 at like very high settings with an R9 280, not overclocked, just Sapphire Dual X. No problem at all, 40-50 frames per second. So those cards are really good price to performance, and that is why we all have them. Now, I decided to finally make the switch over because I had been waiting for the Fury X release, which was slightly disappointing because it was not anywhere near as good as they said it would be. And comparing it to their benchmarks, I have no idea where they got those numbers. Maybe tweaking their settings to kind of make it look better, I guess. And overall, the 980 just outperformed it. That's it. The 980 Ti was just better than it, and so was the Titan Z or Titan X or whatever it is. It was just better than it. So overall, I went with the 980 instead. That was my overall decision. I was like, I want to upgrade my graphics card. 980 came out, and I'm like, I really want 980, but I want to see how AMD does because they do have better price to performances, and I want to see what they're doing. So I waited for their cards to come out. They came out with their Fury X and their 300 series. Don't care about the 300 series, but they came out with their Fury X, and it didn't hold up to the 980 Ti, so I went and got a 980 Ti instead, and I am happy with it. I love this card. It's a great card. Now, I will say this has the saddest packaging I have ever seen. Like, there's no fancy anything included inside this box. Like, it is sad. $700, and they didn't even make it look nice in the box. Granted, you're getting a nice piece of hardware, but still, sometimes you plan to open the box and find some shiny papers and some stickers or a poster or something, or even a free game, but nothing. So a lot of 980 Ti's come with free games. This one does not, and I feel like that is because the supply and demand is so high for it right now. They don't have to give anything away with it, and they can mark up the price, and people will still buy it. So because of that reason, there was no free game, no Batman, Arkham, or anything like that, which is sad. So overall, I'm happy with it. It's nice. This is, I mean, like I said, between the fact that there's a nice backplate, full aluminum shroud, all the connection ports I need, as well as it's got a full custom PCB by Gigabyte with the 8-pin plus 8-pin, power delivery, full power delivery system designed by Gigabyte, like literally ground up. Gigabyte did all of it. So because of stuff like that, it makes it nice. Now, another inclusion I will be saying is that EK has kind of said they're going to make a block for it. I hope to God they do, because that's kind of one of the reasons I grabbed this. I was like, okay, EK is probably going to make a water block for it so I can water cool later, which, hint, hint, I might be getting into that. So if they make a water block, you know what I mean, I'm waiting for it because I wanna get a water block for it. But yeah, so we'll take a look at the benchmarks. Like I said, all 1440p, and pretty much all games are completely maxed out. I wanted to make sure that, it was trying, I guess, because 1080p, this thing isn't going to try. And 1440p definitely starts to push its limits, and especially when you're rocking like literally any slider I could move up, I did, except for multi-sampling, anti-aliasing. So MSAA, the anti-aliasing a lot of the times will either be ×2 or ×4, but some instances it was maxed out as well, depending on the game. So anyways, you guys take a look at the benchmarks, and we'll come back afterwards. Alright, after the benchmarks, we can already see now that this card is a beast. It beasts at 1440p every single game. High settings, does not matter. Very high, ultra, extra, whatever they call it nowadays. Doesn't matter. It can handle it, no problem whatsoever. So we'll take a look at the power draw, and we're getting at about 120 at idle, and this is the full system. So keep that in mind. But we're at 120 at idle, and we're pulling at, with running firm arc, we're pulling about 485 with bumps to 500. It'd probably go a little bit higher as time went on, but probably only by 5 or 10 watts. So we'll just call it a 500 under full load. So that's really good. That's actually, believe it or not, my R9 280X Toxic pulled more than that, which is ridiculous. That card, I mean, it also performed like a 290, so I mean, I guess that's probably why. But this card does not pull that much, and that's at the stock speeds as well. Keep that in mind. So for power consumption, you could probably get away running one of these off like a 600 watt power supply, 650. You'd be cutting it close depending on your CPU. But if you have an Intel CPU, then you could definitely get away with a 650 watt power supply, which is pretty awesome. You just want to make sure that its 12 volt rails are nice. Also keep in mind the power supply I have in is a 750 80 plus gold rated, and it's not a cheap gold rated. It's one of AMD or EVGA's really nice 80 plus power supplies. Or 80 plus gold, and believe it or not, that does make a difference, anywhere from 20 to 50 watts, depending on this was pulled off of a 80 plus versus 80 plus bronze. As I know that I found that there was a 20 watt difference in pull from an 80 plus and an 80 plus bronze. So going to an 80 plus gold, it could be anywhere from 15 to 20, 30, 40 watts and up, as far as how much power it needs to actually pull from the wall to efficiently run the system. So overall, the power draw on this thing is nice. The fact that it pulls less power than my R9 280X Toxic is, you know what I mean? It's like a slap in the face. It's like, how are you doing that and outperforming it at every single turn? So overall, I'm happy with it. I mean, could be cheaper. It'd be nice, but you know, that's how they get their money. Anyways, you guys, that's my quick look at the Gigabyte G1 Gaming GTX 980 Ti. Way too long of a name, but I guess we'll get over it. Anyways, leave me any questions or anything in the comments in case I forgot anything. This was kind of a long video and kind of tiring because between all the benchmarking and the video, and yeah, I'm doing it late at night and my work, you know, I'm tired. I don't want to do it anymore. But yeah, let me know any comments or anything if I forgot anything, any questions you want about the card. And I'll put a link in there for Newegg's place to buy it, but at the same time, it's always sold out. So good luck. Maybe in the next couple months, it won't always be sold out. Anyways, you guys, this is Steven with All Talk On, and I'll catch you guys later.